Welcome to the Modernize or Die Podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome back to Modernize or Die, CFML News Edition, and I can actually say that, Brad, because we're really back. So thanks for everybody who are stuck around for us to finish this show. But Eric, do they want to hear your voice today?
I think they want to hear anything today.
Yep.
Thanks for sticking with us through some technical difficulties there.
Yep, sorry guys, we changed Eric's audio settings and I guess I broke them big time. So we're hosting from my side now, so let's try that again. So you missed all the good news, but we'll recap. So, and I said that, Brad, for Charlie, Brad always tells me we're not coming back. You don't have to say welcome back. What if they've never been here? Well, if you're watching, you probably were watching before, so that's why welcome back. Okay. So, thanks Eric for joining me again, and let's thank our sponsors.
That's right. Thank you to Ortus Solutions for sponsoring this podcast, the makers of all your favorite box products. You can say thank you and give back in a few ways, like liking and subscribing to these videos on YouTube, signing up for an account on CFCasts, which releases new content every week, or by buying Ortus's book 102 Cold Box Quick Tips and Tricks over on Gumroad. Okay, so let's get on with this, and hopefully my mic's not too loud. It looks like it's picking up more than it should right now. So, oh gosh. Well, let's also thank our Patreon supporters. They have 38 awesome Patreon supporters that are helping us support 100% of this podcast and also some of the other things. Apparently the video froze now. So, oh geez, what a day. Yeah, I think we just keep going on that one.
Yep. Anyway, so thanks to our Patreon supporters. We'll tell you a little bit more about some of the perks, and some of those bronze members actually get some awesome videos for free, and we'll tell them about that next as we start the news here.
All right, so the biggest news of the week, we're a little biased, but it is that the Into the Box 2021 videos are now available on CFCasts.
Yep, for sure.
You can head to CFCasts right now. If you're a subscriber, watch them all. If you were an Into the Box 2021 attendee, you should have received a coupon for access to your email. Please contact us if you have not. And for anybody else, you can either sign up for a CFCast account or even just do a one-time purchase of the Into the Box videos for $199.
Yep, exactly. So it's a lot of great content. I watched all of one track because I was in that room, but I have to see the other track, so I'm looking forward to watching the rest of those here very soon, and you should too. It was a great conference and lots of great speakers and great content, so excited to share that with everybody. So there we go. We also had another big release, as we mentioned at the Into the Box keynote, which are available on YouTube. ContentBox version 5 has been released.
Woohoo!
So some crazy re-architecturing of the entire app so we can get multi-site working. A lot of migration scripts and everything are being built to make it easier for you. And so there's blog post, there's a new marketing site, and the docs have all been updated for version 5 as well.
That's right. Multi-site, companion CLI, headless CMS. There's a lot of great stuff in here. Check out the blog post, the marketing site, or the docs, or all three. We'll have them all in the show notes.
Yep. Very cool. Okay, so if you want more podcasts, this week we have a new episode of the SoapBox Edition. Luis Mahano is relaunching that October 7th. So I know that they've got that all scheduled out for the next few episodes. So every month you'll be receiving a new episode of the Modernize or Die podcast SoapBox Edition. I think he interviewed you for one of those, right?
Yeah, I don't know when it comes out, but I am on one of them.
Yep. So I know that we'll be talking about things like ColdBox's life, 15 years old now, and a few other things about the community, sort of interview style. So that'll be relaunching October 7th, so a couple of days away from that. And you can get to see that on soapbox.modernizeordie.io.
lastly, we have a webinar coming up here at the end of the month with you, Gavin, about your building quick APIs, the extended version.
Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
So this is the extended version of Gavin's Into the Box presentation that you can go watch right now on CFCasts. But Gavin had so much content that we just needed to give him more time to talk about it. So we'll be giving him the webinar slot this month.
Yep.
To do that.
We'll be diving a little deeper and maybe trying to add a little bit onto the end of it. But there's a great companion repo for that. Slides are always super detailed, so that way you can follow along yourself at home without having to worry about me being there. So hopefully you guys will get something out of it. And if you didn't get to see it at ITB, come check out the webinar and we'll go from there.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about it, for anybody who didn't see it, was you had like 30 API versions for all the changes, right? Was there more?
That's about 30. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you get a step-by-step, hey, let's change it this way, see the differences, and you can run them all in as examples. It was great. So,
yeah.
I've done the branches video.
Yeah, as I say, I've done branches before, but man, it's a pain for someone to switch branches all the time. It's a pain to like diff them. It's a pain to create them, because if you screw something up, you gotta go fix them in all these different branches. So I like this method. I think I've settled.
I ran into that with the up and running with Quick workshop, because I did the branch way that you're talking about, because I wanted that diff, and if I noticed a mistake on step 12 that I should have done in step 4, there's a lot of rebasing. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah, it's kind of cool with API versions. It's kind of nice, and yeah.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is too, you're not just diffing one file, you're diffing everything, except you don't get to see the diffs of like the ColdBox configuration, etc., where a branch would do that. Anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check out the video or come sign up for the webinar. Sign up form should be up any day now.
Well, it is October officially, Gavin, and you know what that means?
Hacktoberfest.
It's Hacktoberfest. This is the DigitalOcean sponsored event for contributing to open source via GitHub or GitLab this year. I don't know if that's new this year or was a last year thing, but
I didn't know that.
You can sign up at hacktoberfest.digitalocean.com, so it will track your progress. You can do 4 pull requests that are accepted according to their rules. Will get you either a free t-shirt or they will plant a tree on your behalf. And we at Ortus love Hacktoberfest, want to support you, whether that's contributing to a module, our docs, ColdBox itself. We're here to help. So catch us in the Slack channel or on Twitter, and we can help you get going on that.
Yep, for sure. Let me just see if I can share my screen for those who are watching. And the cool thing about that is you'll see there's a little Hacktober tag on some of our modules now. So Hacktoberfest is on the .env module, but a lot of the other modules, if you see that there, you know it's one that you can use. And if it's not there, please tell us so we can add it. We're trying to add them all, but it is a bit of a manual process, right, Eric? There's no tag all my repos button.
Yeah, GitHub doesn't give me a do this for everything in the org, so we could script it, but we've just kind of taken a more lazy loading approach, if you will. So when you send in the pull request, we'll make sure the topic gets put on.
Yep, and that's the thing too. I mean, it can be on the repo or on just the pull request itself. So as long as it gets on there, you get credit, and yeah, there you go. We got some pretty cool shirts, and I wasn't prepared. I would have wore one today. I probably have one for the rest of the month. So there's some pretty cool shirts too. So.
All right, last bit of news. Adobe's one-day workshop over in the European area of the world continues with Damien Bruendonks. That's November 10th is the next one. It is 9 to 5 Central European time.
Yep. So it looks like some good content. It's nice to see them doing a series over there. And I know Mark Takata's got more webinars coming out later this year as well for Adobe, though. All the previous webinars are online. The workshops, I think you do have to be in person to get that. So, okay. Well, next up, we'll talk about CFCasts, and I think we had a pretty big release already mentioned today. So
yeah, that's right. Our CFCasts update is into the box.
Yeah.
There's a lot of videos.
I think there's like 30
I
or
don't know.
something.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna just go look at how many videos was in that series. 29.
29.
It's a 22 hours and 25 minutes of content for you there, folks.
Yep, and we cut out all the fluff. Don't worry.
There's no fluff in our presentations.
No, I mean some
Ever.
of the dancing or the.
We cut out Edgardo? We
No,
need to
we're-
put that back in.
Yeah, we're gonna
We
be
probably
adding.
charge extra for that one.
Very cool.
Well, we
and
hope you enjoy those. Let us know what you think. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yep, and then Charlie has a little note saying those day-long webinars are basically the content that Nolan created for the certification training, now packaged as a single-day session, which is nice. Or one can see the videos by paying. So that is really cool. Thanks, Charlie, for sharing that. I wasn't sure what the actual content was, and you had a big covering. I've seen the, sort of the agenda, but yeah, very cool. Okay, so next up, we have our conferences and training. So we got a couple of nice ones coming up here. So next up is one of our favorites, Vue.js Live. So I don't know if you saw this one or not, but they actually have online and in person in the London, UK. The Vue.js conference is going to be remote and in person this year.
I'm loving the animation they have on their site. Have you?
I have to share it. Let me share it.
You have to share it. You move your mouse around and everybody can appreciate this.
Ooh.
It's the kind of stuff I would spend way too long on if left to my own devices.
Yep, and they have the videos. So 20th, 21st, and they have some free and pro workshops too. So go check those out. Lots of great content. A lot of good speakers too. Like I recognize a lot of them. So go find out some more details on vuejslive.com. But very cool. We also have one from Microsoft. Microsoft Ignite is happening, I believe, in November this year. And I have the link. I was going to post it for us to look at. Sorry, I say been a crazy week already.
Gavin started before we jumped on this podcast saying this has been a crazy Wednesday. So
Yep.
I'll let you know where we're at.
Yep, exactly. Feels like a Wednesday already. So it's November 2nd through 4th. Tools, sessions, expertise. Registration form. I wonder what it tells you here. Okay, we got to sign in to find out. But it's usually a pretty big conference. It's a digital event. So if you want more information, you go to Ignite, and I will get more information and put in the show notes, and we'll share it next week. So we just saw that one right before the show started too.
And then the big one on our radar is Adobe's Cold Fusion Summit in December 7th and 8th. I did notice on their website that the speaker list has changed from saying past speakers to speakers. So again, we've been wondering if there's going to be a call for speakers or a just inviting past speakers. I don't know if this tells us anything about that, but
Well, yeah, it
I'm
already
reading
has
into the tea leaves.
already has sponsors. I'm not sure if if we're already sponsoring Ortus Solutions, or they just know we will. So yeah, I'm curious if that's updated or they're just getting ready for it. So, but
That's right.
coming soon. So register. Remember, that one is free. So go check that out, and then hopefully next year they might have a real one back in person in Vegas.
Oh, please. Please, please, please.
It's like the closest one there is for me too, so I can drive there. Okay, so lots of great content still coming your way. We've got a few more before the end of the year, and we also have Into the Box Latam live in person that we're hoping to get more details very soon. Now Into the Box is over, they're planning for the next one, so that should be the Latam version very soon. Okay, so let's get into blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. And you want to run us through the first one from Matthew Clemente?
Yeah, Matt's back in blogging. Woo!
Yay!
And this was fun too because I had no idea about this, and I think the thing I thought was most fun is at the end he's like, "Yeah, this is in ColdBox," and I was like, "What? Really?" So this is about object save and object load. Those are builds and functions to Cold Fusion, and I'll be honest, when I first saw that, I thought, "Is Matt doing like Hibernate ORM stuff? That's weird." But no, this is not that. This is something very different, and it's about converting a Cold Fusion object to something that can be to a binary format. So you can serialize it, you can save it. There's even a way to save it to a file, and then later you can load it up, and it will have all the data that was in it at the time you saved it. So
I wonder if this is like a sort of a WDDX type thing, because they kind of did that with those, but I don't know.
Yeah. So
anyone in the chat knows, let us know. And we'll pretend that we know something. But yeah, interesting.
So yeah, you can check out the blog post for the examples and the more in-depth thing there. But yeah, it's used in ColdBox in some places. It was used in this hashify function that he had to convert Cold Fusion objects to a hash consistently. So yeah, some pretty neat, and that would take into account the data that was in the object, not just like the code that you wrote. I think that's why it's important there.
Very cool.
Right? If you object save a component that has different properties assigned to it, different things in the variable scope, is going to come out differently. So that was pretty cool. I didn't know about that either, and I'm glad to see Matt back writing in his blog, and it looks like on a new platform of something. It looks very pretty.
Yeah, it does. Those who saw my screen a minute ago will notice that. I'd noticed. We noticed, Matt. Okay, next up we have a tweet from Brad, and this is actually because I started a conversation with him saying that weird ColdBox is still ready not to serve requests error is ugly. We should give him a way to basically make that prettier. And he says you can just give ColdBox fail fast a closure basically, and you can do whatever the heck you want. And I was like, oh. I looked through the docs, and like, sure enough, it wasn't there. But when I looked through the code, I did notice it was there. So Brad was right. Brad's always right. I actually don't. I shouldn't have said that out loud. But yeah. So that's something that we need to document.
Yeah. So I saw this, and I noticed that we don't have any docs in the ColdBox docs about this ColdBox fail fast. So we definitely need to get on this. This is ColdBox's way of saying, hey, we're starting up the framework. You've had multiple requests come in at the same time, and we can't serve your request until the framework's fully up. And there's ways to customize the message. There's ways to return a full page if you would like, but none of that's in the doc. So we at least have a ticket now to go get those in the doc so all of you can enjoy that without having to dive into the source code.
Yeah, because when I dove into the source code, I missed the closure piece right above it. I was like, man, that's an ugly error message. There's no way to fix it. So yeah, but the way you do it basically is you pass a closure from your application CFC where we're bootstrapping, and then that way it'll use it wherever it needs it. But very cool. So glad to see that will be get documented here, so I don't make a fool of myself again later. Okay, what do we got next?
We have a blog post by Mr. Terry Beard on his blog about rolling your own CF query to JSON. And I thought it could be fun to pull some of the tidbits he had in here. Some things that especially developers newer to either Cold Fusion or building APIs might run into, which is that a couple of things. The query type does not serialize to what you would imagine in JSON. No. It comes back with like the columns and data, and everything. Cold Fusion loves to uppercase query everything's. So most of the time you end up needing to cast it yourself, either in your query or loop over your query and create an array of structs. I thought it would be fun to point out too that at least in Lucy, and someone helped me the version of Cold Fusion, you can pass a return type to the query and it will return an array of structs for you, which is amazing.
Yeah, I always get confused with that one because I think it's 2018 that started it for the query execute for
Mhm.
I think I'm looking it up too. Sorry.
And then I think the last thing he showed a return format metadata on a remote function. I believe that's built into the CFML engines to take like the value that comes back and serialize it to JSON automatically for you.
Yeah.
ColdBox I think has some of that as well built into the handlers. So yeah, just a few little tidbits in this that I thought we'd share. Thanks for the blog post, Terry.
Yep. Let's see. Array of structs. So in Lucy, yeah, return type equals array. I don't think you can do it in Cold Fusion yet, though. I think that's what I always think you can, but I don't.
Charlie's telling us it might even be as recent as 2021. So
Yeah. So I was saying, I thought it was, and then I made a fool of myself arguing with you about QB with it one time.
yeah, QB doesn't use that mostly because if you add return type in for the older Cold Fusion versions, it just yells at you. You can't even have the key, and it was a real pain. So
Yeah.
I do something similar to what Terry does, which is I loop over your query and make it an array because arrays are a little bit more standard.
Yeah, I think I used to do a deserialized JSON, serialized JSON, but when you serialize it, you tell it destruct or something. You do something weird that, and that's
I've
my
seen
trick.
that.
Yeah, that's my trick. It's a throw it in and out real quick with an extra variable, and it does it for you. But I think I put it up on ForgeBox. I don't know. Actually, I should check that out. It helps. So next up, we have something about a public beta of GitHub releases, and I'm sure this is pretty exciting for you, Eric, because I know you do a lot of work with semantic releases. So you want to tell us about it?
Yeah. So GitHub releases, if you go to any of our GitHub like modules, repos, there's the words, you can view the releases, which is usually just a bunch of tags. And GitHub's changing a little bit of the UI there, focusing on contributors, making it easy to see the diff. But my favorite thing is they're going to auto-generate release notes based on pull requests in that tag, which, like, yeah, as Gavin said, I built out a whole system to do that automatically. So I'll be happy to throw that away and let GitHub do that. But yeah, I thought that was fun. Especially with Hacktoberfest, we all are living on GitHub, and so anything that they improve is very welcome.
Yep. I mean, I know that sometimes other people use other things in GitHub, and we use GitLab a lot and everything as well. So maybe you don't have to throw away your semantic release, but you probably won't give it as much love with GitHub's stuff.
Yeah, well, they also said in the same thing that for those that wanted to provide their own, they have it as part of their GitHub action that you can say, here are my release notes for this automated release. So I'll probably switch to that because I still do a lot of custom stuff. But yeah, still very nice to have a sanctioned way to handle that.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I think this is pretty interesting. The next thing on our list is Tailwind Labs, adding Tailwind CSS to an existing project. And that's something that a lot of people want to know how to do, and there's a video here for them. That's pretty cool.
So Gavin, you made the mistake of giving all the control over to me today, so I got to put all the stuff I like in.
Yeah.
Tailwind's amazing. I think it's amazing. It's a CSS framework, if you have not heard of it, that focuses on utility classes, which they do a lot of great work helping debunk all of the things you think are problems about that. For me, Tailwind helped me actually figure out what CSS was doing and not feel like I was doing it wrong. And so I very much appreciate it. And in this one, they're talking about, hey, you want to add Tailwind to your site. You don't want to change any of the rest of your site. How do you do that? And they go into it right here. It's very, very step-by-step. Great video. All the Tailwind Labs videos are amazing. So just seeing somebody build something with CSS makes it feel so much less scary.
Yeah, and their Tailwind UI setup they have, I mean, they're growing. There was just a couple of guys, and now that they've got a little team, they're really polishing everything. I mean, it's slick. Tailwind UI is really good, but this here I really like because you don't have to worry about naming collisions or specificity issues, which is a huge thing if you can say it. And then, I like Tailwind.
And you don't need to rewrite your site.
Yeah, and I like the fact Yeah, they take care of the bloating too, because that's the thing. A lot of people get worried that I'm gonna have 4 CSS frameworks now, like all that CSS code. So
Yeah, so Tailwind does really great, and especially from this release, and their next one is like out of the box, where they only produce the exact CSS you need. I think at the end of the video, he had like 1.2 kilobytes of new CSS. Like,
yeah,
I am pretty sure that we write more of that in just our code than CSS. Like, that's not a problem at all.
yeah, that's pretty small. So it's very
there's
cool.
also amazing, great videos, but that was the new one this week, and I thought that especially applicable since most of us are maintaining sites that have been around for a while, not necessarily like building something from scratch, and so adding to existing projects is always an important factor.
Yep, for sure. Okay, next up we have one from binadel. On this one here, he's testing big int auto increment usage in MySQL.
So there's some some neat details, but the the gist of it was Ben wanted to make sure that if he used a big int in the auto incrementing column, that everything would work. It does. There's some details in there about how Lucy seems to store them internally that you can check out. But yeah, you can use big ints for your auto incrementing type.
But can you use them for a foreign key to something what's into another one? Because I always hate that. Someone upgrades one.
If they're both big ints, they should be fine, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of times, someone will upgrade the primary key to a big int or something, and then all the foreign keys break because they didn't upgrade everywhere.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's true.
War stories.
But I'm trying to think of what the largest value of a big int is. Here, I'll put it in the chat because I can't read that. It's a big number. Count the zeros. Billions, trillions, quadrillion, in the quintillions. So
that is
a little bit bigger
number.
than integer.
That is for sure. And then next up, I have to show the picture here because there's someone who's crazier than Brad when it comes to Cold Fusion. So I saw a tweet, and I thought the guy was kind of joking at first because there was like a little basically some chicken scratch on his arm, and he says he's gonna go get the Cold Fusion dude tattooed on him, and then lo and behold, he did it. So this is the final product. For those watching, you get to see it. Those who are listening, you'll have to go check it out. We have the link in the show notes, but it's pretty cool. Not sure I would get it on me, but pretty cool.
Agree on both counts.
But yeah, and so this person is Carlos, and I'm like, he looks kind of familiar, but I don't know. Maybe he's Edgardo's crazy cousin. I don't know. I'm not sure, but that's pretty impressive. So I think we should invite him to the next Into the Box as a celebrity. Okay, so what's next on the list?
Find a job time.
Okay. Oh my gosh, we're over 200 jobs this year already. That's quite a lot. So we have 4 new ones listed by the look of it.
Yeah, this is a weird aside, but this first one was like almost a shock to me. So it's a back-end developer for Amerisave Mortgage here in the US, and that was surprising to me because I've used them before. I didn't know they had Cold Fusion running it, and now I'm like thinking back and wishing I could go back in time and like dig into the inspector panel or something.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. People freak out when they realize something's written on Cold Fusion, and I always tell people, it's like, well, most sites you can't tell what it's written in if it's done recently. Yeah. If it's a legacy site, you might see a .cfm somewhere, but most recent sites all using pretty URLs and everything. So
yep.
But yeah, everyone freaks out because like Chase is using it, or Facebook or something. It's like because a lot of the apps they use are written in it. So anyways,
yeah.
But cool.
So that was the first one. It's a backend developer. There wasn't a location, but United States, hopefully remote. We have a team lead at Kochi, Kerala in India, a senior Cold Fusion developer at Colon, Pennsylvania, It's kind of an unfortunate town name. And then a full-time developer in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yep. Okay. So that's a good little range there. Remember, you can follow them on Twitter, and you can also post jobs for free there as well. So next up, we have our ForgeBox module of the week, and this week we're revisiting an old one, but there's a good reason for that.
Yeah, so this one is the CommandBox.env module. Got a little upgrade this week from Mr. Brad Wood, actually. I was going to make him talk about it, but I guess I'll take it instead, which is that you can have multiple .env files loaded when starting your server, and that those files can be set as server properties or CommandBox system properties, and it will load up all of them at once and pass them into your server. So now if your server has a custom env it needs to load in a different path, you can put that as a setting, load those all up. So
yeah, very cool. Isn't he using some file globbing stuff in here too?
Yeah, you can pass a glob if you'd like to. Like, you want to load all .properties files in the web root, as well as like a config folder, things like that. So
pretty cool.
Yeah,
some nice upgrades, and for anyone who isn't using .env, it's a pretty cool way to basically load variables like you're using environment variables or system properties, and it makes it easy just to get variables in there. So when you're starting up one site or another, you can read those, and it's just nice and neat. It works with Docker or works with CommandBox. You can use it for other things too if you just want to get stuff into your app, even if you're not using either of those. So it's a pretty handy tool.
Yeah, I know that we use it mostly for local development because you don't really want to be setting a bunch of environment variables on your local system that can conflict with different sites you're working on. But we've had some clients also use this in like production deploys, whether it's shared hosting or any other way. They just want to use .env, and so this is a very handy way for them to point their server to load a .env file that's not in like the Git root, the web root, and it can load it from outside that they can configure. So that was where this got pushed from. So yeah, maybe that applies to you and you want to go check it out now. But you'll have to wait a little bit, because breaking news, ForgeBox is currently offline for its big upgrade from Into the Box.
Yes.
We'll see if it gets upgraded before we end, but it is in the progress. I'm very excited.
Yep, for sure. I wonder if we're going to get a bunch of people jump in the chat and say, I can't load this, I can't install this. Sorry, we had to do it while everyone was awake and alive. That way we could fix it if anything goes wrong and roll back. But, yep, a lot of big stuff coming out there. So, okay, next up we have our VSCode Hint Tip and Trick of the Week. And this one is actually cool because it's not just one hint and tip and trick. It's a video about a whole bunch of them. So, James Quick, you may have seen him. They do these live streams periodically on the VS Code live stream. And so this week's one is actually a release party for the October release. But they actually have some pretty good videos. And this one is his favorite tips and tricks with VS Code. So they've already got 15,000 views. But this is part of the the team releases, and they have these videos out. Release all the time. So if you aren't subscribing to their calendar events, you should do that. They're pretty cool live streams. And again, this week they have one on Thursday, and you get to see all the new stuff in October's release of VS Code. So go check out that video and let us know if you find any awesome ones that we should be using. I need to go in there and make sure that all my latest extensions are the best ones, so I can put them on the list.
I just want to put a plug in real quick for all of the great Cold Fusion VS Code extensions that we have. I noticed in the CFML Slack the other day somebody asking about Adobe's, and I realized that I felt very happy with the extensions that we have. And so thank you to all those in the community that have worked on them, sent pull requests, supported them. You make our VS Code developing life wonderful.
Yep, and I always forget his name, but Kamasama K, I think, is Andrew Brown, and he's like one of the main guys behind a lot of them. And he's done, that's basically the best CFML one out there. For those who aren't using it, you should be But yeah, the ColdBox stuff and TestBox stuff is all built on top of all of that other CFML goodness, and yeah, there's a lot of great stuff out there. So we love the CF format, the CF lint. It's very, very cool. Okay. Next up, our Patreon supporters. So we want to thank all of you for supporting this podcast and all the other open source initiatives that Ortus has, like CommandBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, ContentBox, TestBox, and our package management, obviously, that works with CommandBox. So a lot of great stuff there, and if you want to become a Patreon supporter, you can go to patreon.com/OrtusSolutions, and when you do, you get some pretty cool perks, right, Eric?
That's right. Bronze level and up, you're going to get a free ForgeBox Pro and CFCast subscription as a perk. For the rest of you, you get access to a private forum on our community website, as well as a sweet profile badge to show your Patreon supporting status.
Yep, and then remember that we do have annual memberships now, so if you pay for the year, you save 10%. So, with that being said,
I've been looking at this list of names, and I think it may be possible to do it in one breath, but then we wouldn't hear their wonderful names. So I think...
Yeah, I was going to say,
we'll take it a little slower.
I tried, and I can't get through 10 of them. So, there's like 38. Plenty of names on the list. So,
well, let me run through the names of these supporters here. Thank you to John Wilson with Synaptrix, Don Bellamy, Eric Hoffman, David Bellinger, Dean Monder, Gary Knight, Giancarlo Gomez, Jonathan Perrett, Mario Rodriguez, Jeffrey McGee with Sunstar Media, Yogesh Mathur, Joseph Lamery, Ben Nadal, Brett DeLine, Carl Von Stetten, Charlie Earhart, Dan Card, Daniel Garcia, Didier Lisnicki, Edgardo Cabezas, Jan Yannick, Jason Diger, Jeff McLean, Jeremy Adams, Jonas Erickson, Jordan Clark, Kai Koenig, Laxma Titrahadi, Leon Saramelis, Matthew Darby, Matthew Clemente, Mingo Hagen, Patrick Flynn, Ross Phillips, Scott Steinbeck with Agri Tracking Systems, Sean Oden, Stephanie Monge, and Stephen Klotz. Thank you for supporting us, this podcast, and our work at Ortus Solutions.
Yep, awesome. It's great to see them, and it's great to also see those names popping up in the blog posts that we see and in the conference sessions and attendees alike. So it's good to have a little community supporting us, and yeah, very cool. Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us and listening to a quiet version and then the loud version of this podcast today. So I really appreciate everyone who took the time to do that, and thanks for those chatting in there. And Charlie's like, man, it's getting pretty long here. You may want to do like a rolling movie credits that you can just play at the end. And we will, Charlie, eventually do something like that, because the idea is if you're at a certain level or above, we'll read your name on the podcast. But we thought we'll support all those early supporters for as long as we can by reading them. But yeah, eventually we'll have to just do certain levels and up, like the Patreon page says. But you know, we want to just basically thank everybody, because it means so much for them to be an early supporter, and they really helped us, keep this podcast alive and going. And thanks to everyone in the chat too, because without it would be pretty boring here, just talking to ourselves, right?
Or finish a whole episode and realize that we didn't actually have audio coming out.
Yeah, that would have been good. I actually got some Slack messages at the same time, but whoops. Yeah. So I guess we're gonna go now. So you guys have a great week, and we'll fix Eric's audio, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Bye. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernize.die.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.